Hi there, this is Mark Stokes Denson of Denson Blake Investments, and I wanted to just take you through a bit of an update on the project that I've been modelling. I want to show you why I find it useful personally, and show you where it's up to and how, as we design it, we can play around and see what happens. So, the courtyard, whereas before had nothing in it, now has the bin store. You know, things get overlooked. And I find personally when I'm modelling it, as I put things in, it gives me the opportunity to add them to the specification. That way I'm not missing things. It's my way of just kind of working a project through. I find it very useful. It's not for everyone, it's quite time consuming, but I do like making sure I've thought everything through. When I don't do this, the project never runs as smoothly. So for me, this is quite an important aspect to what I do, and me physically putting the stuff in helps me understand what's needed. So here's a courtyard. On the architect's plans and as part of the planning, there was bike storage, but it wasn't in the model, and I'd forgot it on the specification. So by putting them in, I now know how many I want there. We've put 7 in. I know the supplier. We can get these from Marshalls in Elland. That's a Geo hoop. But I'm also looking at whether someone can fabricate them. So I've sent them this with the specification heights and the widths from here, so that they can look at whether they can make those, and explain to them how I want them fitted. But then it allows me to think through things like we'd have to have a concrete slab under here, and then put the flanges onto the concrete slab and chemically fix those chemically bolt them to the slab, and then start putting this finish over the top so that the finish is cut round them so it's neater. By me doing this, it helps me consider each part of it. We've got some sort of seating areas outside, maybe for benches, some planters, easily overlooked. The bin store wasn't there before. It's actually on the sloped part. You can see here that the land runs up to the building, so this slope here. So we've got to put the bin store on there. If you have it too close, it'll get in the way of a gate. Again, that's something else I've thought of. We need to put a gate on here. So by me doing this, it allows me to consider everything. So I'm going to sort of take on a bit of a walk around. As I mentioned, we've got the seating areas, etc. I'm just going to spin round and we can go and take a look at the bin store. I've been able to go to the bin store, so I understand the implications on site. We've got a concrete plinth that needs to be put in before the finish. So over the finish is, that concrete has to come out of the ground, be made level with a lip, so that the resin, the pebbled resin, the pebbled ash resin, the small pebbles can be put into resin so they don't fall off and set, and then this can be built on top out of external timber like fencing material and some sort of crude hinges, and it just hides everything away. Again, by actually physically doing this and then considering what's going to be needed, and it gives someone, if I want someone to make that for me, I've now got something to give them to say this is exactly what I want, and they know what they're looking at then. We'll pop in to the gym. As you can see, started to consider the design of the building now, and you can see here that I've actually put some graphics on the wall, and start to see what that will look like. We'll head in. Oops. Put the gym equipment in to get an idea of how much space it'll take up and what we can actually put in and fit in. Wanted to make a workspace in here, so first of all let me deal with the graphics of looking at maybe putting some sort of graphics on the wall. There's no skirting on here yet, but again, I'm aware of it. I can then measure this up. Can fit a couple of mats in, so maybe sort of weight thing just sits sort of nicely in that space. You know, we can fit a couple of rowing machines and a couple of exercise bikes, and sort of window area, and leaving enough space to walk around. And then part of wanted, because we're looking at making this one more attractive from a living point of view, we're looking at adding a sort of workspace, you know, somewhere slightly separate. So again, just considering this, looking at making, you know, just a simple sort of space. You know, we can use some reclaimed scaffolding here, something like this, some crude scaffolding boards just refinished and glued together. You know, sockets, some of the sort of Cat5 Ethernet connection points that can directly wire the computer in might be handy. Yeah, and then 3 or 4 people can sit here and work. You know, and it's out of the way of the lounge, and it's somewhere a bit different as opposed to having to be in your room. Yeah, and just putting some sort of feature, looking at maybe making this like a chalkboard paint on the wall so that it can be written on. Here maybe looking, or speak to build device, but maybe looking to retain the brick wall, so it will need acid cleaning, repointing and some work to make it look right, but maybe keeping that as part of the feature in the new space. I've yet to put the kitchen in, that's sort of next. I am working my way around the property and putting the bits in, so you know, we'll get the settees and get the kitchen designed and what have you. But if I pop out of here as well, I can you may have seen a glimpse of what I'm about to show you. I've actually started to bring in the interior fittings upstairs. So if I take off the tiles, the roof timbers, the insulation, the ceiling lining, again it's all being layered up so I understand what's what. We've got the king trusses there that are now being shown, so you can start to see how they're going to look in that particular room, where they're going to intersect, where they're visible and not visible. This part here is visible in the corridor. We've got an element as you come up the stairs being visible just to make a nice feature. You know, again, these will have to be sort of treated and washed and made right, but that's part of the original building, and to leave them in will be quite a nice thing to do. But the beauty is, as you can see, everything's labelled up, so it helps me just get the order of everything I'm aware of, and as I'm going through it I can then create a specification regarding this. You know, first walls, internal, there they are. So I know what they're made of, I've got the specification for that, and I know it's made of 150mm gyprock metal walling. It's insulated, it's double boarded with acoustic boards on the common where the living spaces back onto each other. So I've then got measurements. So as I clear these, I'm literally going through them, going, right, well, I've got that in the spec and this in the spec, and doors, I've got all the doors. And it's basically allowing me to consider everything he's doing to make this project happen. As you can see, actually started to put in the beds, consider where they will be, and therefore can consider what the feature wall will be and how it will work. Actually starting to put the toilets in and the showers. As you can see, I've not put the screening yet, but as you can see, you've got the quadrant here, the shower there. That's going to be the other kitchen, bedroom. So you know, start to look at where the furniture goes, what's going to be used and how it's going to be used. And once you know, in here, we can start to look around the bedrooms and what they look like. And it gives us a sense of proportion. We can actually start to put people in these as well and start to get a sense of the space as people are living in it. So yeah, that's the model so far, and why I do it, because I find it very handy to understand what's going into the building and the work that will be involved in that. And it's also a great tool to be able to talk to the builder and the people on site, to be able to say, well look, this is what we're going to do, here's the wall and this is where the height of it is. It's also going to allow me to work out how many square metres of this internal wall are above the standard height, so I can then quantify that up a lot better. Yeah, as you can see, that's the site. So by bringing in the actual stuff, so we'll bring in the furniture, we'll actually import the tiles and the carpets and the floor coverings and the stairs, and get the stairs right. And the person that did the model for me has actually put glass in, but I think I'll end up putting normal banisters in, probably, because I need to I need to keep that cost down. Probably there's quite a lot of glass and quite expensive to do it like that. So I'll probably look at an alternative way of dealing with that. But it gives you a fair idea of how the building's going together and what's involved. Just by having the trusses here and then actually thinking, well, I need to put the wood on them, it's made me consider that someone's going to have to jet wash the timbers down or clean them, and then prepare them and actually put some kind of maybe wood stain or wood treatment on them so that they look new and tasteful. So again, it's in the specification to actually treat the roof timbers, the truss rather, as part of the job. So by me doing this, it's allowing me to go through the process of actually what it's going to be involved on site, and it allows me to then see everything about how the thing's going to look, how it looks from all different angles. Does it all look like it belongs together? Does the gym look right next to the office space? How does that look from the outside? And I think it's nice for me. It's nice to be able to sort of see what the thing's going to look like and how it's going to work. Look, there's my workspace thing. It's too high. I need to drop that down, obviously. If I want it someone mind, I'll drop that down. There we go. Makes more sense. Just allowing me to sort of consider what the thing looks like and where everything's going to go, what it's going to be like to live in. And as I continue to model things in, kitchen will be next. I can make sure it's going to work, there's enough space, I can demonstrate that, and it just makes a lot more sense for me to be doing it this way. And I then know what's involved. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's a bit of an update on where things are at with this, and thanks for watching. Take care.